Buonasera a tutti, good evening and welcome to the Italian Radio Hour. Io sono Viviana and I would like to welcome back our regular listeners and also welcome any new listeners. Also be sure to like us on Instagram and Facebook at Italian Radio Hour and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any past video interviews. Vorrei dare il benvenuto ai nostri ascoltatori da tutto il mondo, grazie per essere con noi anche oggi mentre continuiamo il nostro viaggio per l'Italia e la cultura italiana. Today we're having a great conversation because, as you know, I've been traveling throughout the region of Friuli Venezia Giulia, and when we talk about Friuli Venezia Giulia, obviously not only do we have to move around the different cities, but also to taste the products that this region is very rich and famous for. And obviously, we cannot go any further without talking about Prosciutto San Daniele. And to have a wonderful conversation, we actually have with us Arianna Prolongo, who represents the third generation of Prosciuttificio di Prolongo. She takes care of the marketing and also the supplier chain. And in my recent visit to their Prosciuttificio, I was really impressed about their quality and their process. So I reached out to Arianna to see if she would be willing to share with all of you what happens behind the stage to the production of every single prosciutto that the world has to enjoy. Welcome to the program, Arianna.
Hi, I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you very much.
So Arianna, there are so many things to talk about, and I think we can start a little bit about understanding a little bit about the territory and what makes San Daniele such a special place and ideal for making prosciutto San Daniele.
Yes, of course. So our region is Friuli Venezia Giulia. Friuli Venezia Giulia is a region in northeast of Italy, near Austria and Slovenia. And it's a region which is rich both of mountains and sea. So we have this kind of territory. And San Daniele del Friuli, it's a small city in the center of Friuli Venezia Giulia. And we have this famous product, which is Prosciutto San Daniele. And Prosciutto San Daniele, it's a very ancient product. So it was done also in the Middle Ages. And what is the secret of this kind of particular ham is the microclimate that we have here, the weather that we have here in San Daniele, because San Daniele del Friuli receives two very different winds and breezes. We have a fresh wind that blows down from the mountains and the more humid and warm air that blows up from the Adriatic Sea. So warm and cool air mix together and create a perfect natural air conditioning for maturing prosciuttos. And so this is why it was so famous, the product of this territory, of this city. And nowadays, of course, the bigger industry, they can also recreate with air conditioning, weather, temperature, humidity, ventilation. But we as small art and craft company, we continue to cure our prosciutto only with natural air curing. So without air conditioning, but with opening and closing the windows each day, depending on the weather outside, and let the air circulate and make full use of San Daniele microclimate as it was once by the tradition.
Yes, and we will talk about that because, again, it was a very interesting tour that my husband and I were on, where our tour guide, so to speak, that she guided us through all the senses. It was really a sensorial experience. Was explaining and showing us indeed the process and the duties. Now, Prosciutto San Daniele, in order to have this denomination, it can only be produced in San Daniele, right?
There is only in this municipality, and also, so Prosciutto San Daniele, it's a PDO product, protected designation of origin product. And so we have some rules of production that all the companies need to follow. So for example, produce only in the area of San Daniele de Friuli, but also produce only with Italian pigs, so pigs that are coming from Italy. As a small company, we also buy only pigs from our region Friuli, but they can be from Italy, from some selected regions in Italy as well. And also Prosciutto San Daniele, the only two ingredients are Italian pork meat and sea salt. Nothing more is added, and so no preservatives, no other ingredients. So it's a very natural product. So we have these rules of production, and also there is an independent institute for quality that controls farmers, abattoirs, and prosciuttifici, so prosciutto companies. So they control the respecting of the guidelines.
So before I will be sharing as our conversation progresses some of the steps that you have briefly mentioned. But let's go back to the creation of this family business, because you are the third generation. And again, you and the rest of your family a few years ago celebrated 60 years of the family business, dedicating a beautiful publication to Giovanni. So let's go back in history. Tell us a little bit about
yes, of course. So our Prosciuttificio Prolongo, it's a family business. We are one of the smallest prosciuttifici in San Daniele, one of the most ancient, and it was founded by my grandfather, Giovanni Prolongo. So Prolongo is our family surname. By Giovanni Prolongo in 1957. Well, he was already working for some other prosciutto companies as a simple worker, but he had this dream to produce his own prosciuttos. And so he founded our company in 1957. Then he started working there. My father, Lucio Prolongo, followed the steps of his father, so had my grandfather, and so my father Lucio was the second generation, and nowadays my brother Alessio and me, we are the third generation. So we continue to follow this family tradition. As a third generation, we decided that we don't want to grow industrial. We just want to continue to produce a small quantity, top quality prosciutto San Daniele. A lot of work is still done by hand. And so, as I said before, our maturation is still naturally occurring. So we still continue to produce the prosciutto following the tradition, as my grandfather did.
Wonderful. So as I said, my pictures might not be necessarily in the order that our visit took place, but I think it would be worth it to talk about the different stages of making a prosciutto. Here we kind of see the end product, and again I'm going to go and backtrack a little bit, because also as consumers we want to I mean, obviously there is a guarantee by the different stamps that appear on each prosciutto, so maybe we'll get to understand what those symbols are and so forth. So feel free to tell us, and don't mind about the pictures.
Okay, yes, of course. So the first step of the production is the selection of the raw materials. So the back thighs coming from Italian pigs. So we only buy the back legs, the back thighs, and so we negotiate with our suppliers, with the abattoirs and the farmers, the quality that we want, the weight. When we receive the fresh thighs, then we select them. We make a severe selection. We buy only the ones that don't have any defect. And then upon each leg, we will find some tattoos and fire mark to ensure the traceability of the meat, because there is a tattoo that has the codes to indicate where was born and bred the pig. Then we have a fire mark that indicates where was the abattoir. And then when we buy, exactly, so here we see some of the fire marks. When we decide that we think, oh, this is perfect to become a prosciutto prolongo, we buy the fresh thigh, then we will stamp on it a fire mark that has the date, the month in Roman number, and the year of receipt. And this date is the start of the aging process. So from this date, we are going to count all the months of maturation until the prosciutto is ready to be sold and to be eaten. And so this is very, very important. And then we select the fresh thigh, we brand them with the date, and then the second step is the salting phase. So we massage the legs, so we let all the liquids come out, and then we salt them. And we just use sea salt, Italian Mediterranean sea salt, with no additives, no preservatives, nothing more. We spread the salt all over the fresh leg upon the part that doesn't have any skin covering, so any rind, and we let the legs lay horizontal with the salt all over into a fridge with very low temperature, +2 degrees, very high humidity, 80%, for some days. So here we follow traditional rule that tell us that each leg has to remain covered by salt 1 day per each kilo of its own weight. So for example, if a fresh leg has 16 kilos of weight, then will stay 16 days covered by salt. And so after this period, we just brush away the salt. Then the legs will remain for at least until they have 4 months into other cold stores, other fridges. During this period, we raise the temperature, we lower the humidity, and they will begin to dry. And this until the 4 months, because until that time, they're considered fresh meat, so they have to be refrigerated. After the 4th month, then they will stay into the maturation room, and into this room where they hang the prosciutto on wood. And during the maturation time, we just open and close the windows. There is no controlled temperature anymore, and we open or close the window depending on the weather outside. So this is very important, and it's by the experience of the producer. So we decide if we want to open and let the air come in and circulate, or close normally into the maturation room. Since we have no air conditioning, but many windows, 1 window each meter that are oriented from north to south. Normally we open early in the morning and late in the evening. During the morning, the winds are blowing down from the mountains, and then during the afternoon, breezes are coming from the sea.
Now, I do, sorry to point it out to these little silly pictures of me just being in Alice in Wonderland. But when you were talking about the windows, they told us that these windows have a particular shape. So that's why I think this is the only picture where you can see the windows in the back. Can you tell us a little bit about what's so unique about the windows?
These windows are very they are, as I said, 1 window each meter oriented north-south, and also they have, of course, the net for the mosquitoes, and they have the bricks with some holes that are that let the air come in and circulate, but they won't let the sun to go directly on the prosciuttos. So they are perfect to make full use of San Daniele microclimate.
Wonderful. So the other thing also that it's very interesting to appreciate is that when you have a small producer, again, the quality is extremely high, and also it's very labor intensive in a way that there are people rotating the prosciutto. Again, as you were saying about closing and opening the windows. So there is no like a zip line of prosciutto that is coming down. And
exactly.
So
a lot of work is done by hand.
Exactly. So it really takes also, that builds a lot of expertise in the people working for your company that can
of the product
smell it,
and check
touch
them.
it. Mhm.
Yes, exactly.
And,
And this is also something that we do during so I said after the 4th month, we let the prosciutto hanging in this maturation room for many, many months, because from the 4th month until the 10th month, they will stay there. So for 6 months, they will stay there, and with the air coming in and circulate, they will dry, mature, breathe. During this period, we also do another very important step of the production, which is called stuccatura.
Mhm.
Stuccatura means that we're going to coat the exposed part, so the part that is not covered by the rind. We're going to coat it with a special paste. The ingredients are pork fat, internal pork fat mixed with a little bit of rice flour. And so this smooth paste is applied upon the part that's not covered by the skin. And this stuccatura helps the exposed part to soften and to protect, and helps the prosciutto to dry and mature the same way inside and outside. So it won't dry outside but be soft inside. It will dry in a balanced way. And so this is very important. Stuccatura can be done only by hand, one by one. And so we take the prosciutto, we put them on the table, we coat them, and then we hang them back again. So it's something that we have to do one by one, because each prosciutto is different from one another. It's a natural product. Each prosciutto has its own shape. And so, for example, we have to be very careful. We have to coat them with a thicker shape of base where it's more lean, and a thinner shape of base where they're more fat. And then after this stuccatura is done, during the next weeks, we will check them again one by one through palpation, and we will check if the flexibility of the meat it's appropriate. And if we want, we can do some adjustments. For example, adding some more paste, removing it, so we will have a good prosciutto at the end. So this paste is not an ingredient of prosciutto. It's just used on the surface and will be completely removed at the end. So it's like the rind. It's like a second skin.
So then the big question is, when and how do you know when a prosciutto is ready? That's also when another instrument came.
Yes, exactly. So I said the prosciutto will remain into the maturation room until the 10th month. After this period, it's not ready, but has to be moved into a completely different place, which is the cellar. So we will bring the prosciutto into a cellar, so underground, where humidity and temperature are constant. So a very different room from the ones that is the maturation room, because underground we will have just small windows that we open to change the air, but no air coming in and circulate. So the prosciutto needs to change place, because during the maturation with the air coming in, it will dry. But into the cellar, inside the cellar, it will find constant temperature, constant humidity, and it will develop all the perfumes, all the aroma, which are typical of well-matured prosciutto. So we said that, one thing very important is that Prosciutto San Daniele has a minimum of 13 months of maturation. At 13 months, it will receive also the fire mark that certifies that it's a PDO, Prosciutto San Daniele product. And so this is very important, because that fire mark, it's the label Prosciutto San Daniele, so it's a guarantee for the customers. After that, we will wait a little bit more time until the prosciutto is ready to be sold, because normally we sell our prosciutto when they have 16, 17, 18 months of maturation, also depending on the original weight, because a smaller thigh will be ready earlier. A bigger one will need to mature longer. But I said each prosciutto is different from one another. So how can we be really sure that the prosciutto is ready? There is the final check, which is very important. It's a final test that is called puntatura. Puntatura, it's the control, the check from the inner perfume of the prosciutto. And to do this puntatura, we use the horse bone, which is this one. It's an horse bone coming from the horse's shin, and it's very long, sharp, pointed, and has a lot of poros. So this is we insert this bone inside the prosciutto, inside the center of the prosciutto, for example. And this bone has a lot of poros that will attract the aroma, the perfume of the prosciutto. And then we take it out, we smell quickly, and we check the perfume. So the aroma can be more or less intense, but has always to be a good perfume. So we know if that prosciutto is ready or if we have to wait some more time.
Wonderful. And it's a prosciutto sommelier type of,
yes.
you capture also.
More or less. Yeah.
And this is indeed the instrument. I don't know if this was specifically belonging, because there was here, there is the, I think it's your grandfather's name on the wooden racks.
Oh, well, that was done because my grandfather back in time realized its own fire mark to be placed in combination with the firemark Prosciutto San Daniele, so he could sign his prosciuttos. And now we are working to restore this kind of firemark because it's very beautiful. This is the signature of my grandfather.
Indeed, indeed. So here was, I think, also the freight elevator. I wanted to get to, so once we, once finally the certification is given to the prosciutto, that's when it's ready to be sold. For those of you who will go on a tasting tour with Prolongo, at the end of this experience, there is the reward, which is the actual tasting.
Yes.
And here also what is interesting, some of the machinery that's been used, and that's your brother by chance?
Yes, yes, it's Alessio Prolongo, yes.
And then finally, you are presented with 3 different cuts of the same prosciutto, the fiocco, the punta, and the stinco.
Yes, normally our tour, they are sensory tours. So after the explanation of all the steps of the production, after visiting the maturation rooms, then we will start having this tasting where people can taste all the 3 parts of the prosciutto, because prosciutto has 3 parts that are called fiocco, which is the part which is more lean and also has more intense taste. Then there is the punta, which was the gluteus of the pig. So it's a little bit more fat and a little bit more sweet. And then there is the stinco, which is like the triangle going up until the feet. So that part is the sweetest and the softest part. So we can taste together all the 3 parts of the prosciutto, seeing different colors, different consistencies, and different intensity of the taste. And so it's truly a tasting experience.
Indeed, even because when we do buy Prosciutto San Daniele at the supermarket, it's not that we do have the privilege of asking typically, they will just slice whatever is next. But when you go and do a tasting, then you are presented with the three of them separately, and you can obviously enjoy like me, and then kind of look at you can see that they're very different from one another, and everyone will express their personal preference.
Exactly. And it's also very important to notice that there is not a part of prosciutto which is more, how can I say, so the quality of the prosciutto is unique. It's only about your personal taste. So there is no part which is more, let me say, important or expensive. So the quality of the prosciutto is the same, but it's only on a matter of personal taste.
Okay, I know that you're very, very busy. I just have one or two additional questions, and then
yes, of course.
I will let you go to the production on more great products. But one of the things in the shop that also our tour guide pointed out, and again, the tour guide is one of their employees, by the way. Very lovely. And it was this specific tin that is called prosciutto crudo stagionato, which obviously can be a great to-go product, but it was designed, it's also a vintage box. What was the purpose of this tin? And it does have its own key. You need to have the right key to open it.
So this is a product that belongs to the tradition of our city, San Daniele del Friuli, because this was the old packaging that was used once 60, 70 years ago to preserve the slices of prosciutto and to put them vacuum. So prosciutto inside the tin, inside the can, is already sliced and it's vacuum. So when there was no modern vacuum machine or plastic bags, in San Daniele, and it's something only that belongs only to our city, no other places in Italy or abroad are used to this kind of packaging. In San Daniele, they found this way to put the prosciutto vacuum into the tins, and so the slices of prosciutto could have a very, very long shelf life, because inside the tin, prosciutto will preserve for 1 year, so a very long shelf life. And the tins were once used by the immigrants from Friuli, because they used to come here and then buy many of these tins and bring and take them abroad and eat the flavors of their land during the next months they were staying far from home. So this is really something that we still do, that belongs to the tradition of San Daniele. We are one of the last prosciutto factory that can produce the tins, the vintage tins, because we have the ancient machine that our grandfather bought. So we still continue to produce them.
Yes, which is very interesting. It kind of connects, the different generations, and the fact that it's a product that's been valued for centuries, that, you want to take a piece of your homeland and bring it to you or have access to it. I guess with this great nostalgic thought, and we can also conclude our conversation. Il Big Ben ha detto stop, and it's time for us to say arrivederci and alla prossima. We want to thank you for tuning in into the program. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have any travel topics you would like us to address, please contact us at theitalianradiohour@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And remember, if you or any of your family and friends have missed a prior episode or would like to listen to this episode again, please visit our website at www.istitutomondoitaliano.org and click on the Italian Radio Hour. You can also subscribe to the Italian Radio Hour on YouTube or where you catch your favorite podcasts. And I would love to thank my guest, Arianna Prolongo. Now I feel that I have to go and eat some lunch and some prosciutto San Daniele.
Come visit me again. I will wait for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also good luck, because I have heard that some bad weather some hail has struck Friuli Venezia Giulia in the last couple of days, and that can create some serious damage. But again, to the best to you, the rest of your family, and with a huge gratitude of maintaining family business for us and a wonderful product for us to enjoy. Until next time.
Thank you.
Ciao ciao.
Arrivederci da San Daniele. Ciao.